Just 6 weeks after the death of Ashraf Khan came the next major warning. A pump failed at the plant and another serious leak of toxic gas occurred. 16 workers were injured. Union Carbide America had first-hand knowledge of this incident. Senior executives from the company were visiting the Bhopal plant on the day it happened. Workers at the plant seized their chance and complained directly to the American executives. Plant management's response was to stage a safety week. But according to union representative Hatim Jariwala, this backfired.
हमारे यहाँ 1982 के अंदर एक सेफ्टी वीक बनाया गया था. सेफ्टी वीक के अंदर क्या किया था, ये लोग ने मैंने गवर्नमेंट के आदमी लोगों को भी बुलाया था, बहुत बड़ा एक फंक्शन बनाया था, किया था. तो वो पूरा 8 दिन के अंदर कम से कम 10-12 एक्सीडेंट हो गए. तो हम लोग ने उसके ऊपर भी लिखा था कि हमारे यहाँ देखो कितना बढ़िया सेफ्टी वीक बन रहा है कि ये सेफ्टी वीक के अंदर भी हम लोग एक्सीडेंट होते रहे हैं. और इसकी भी हमने गवर्नमेंट को और सबको चिट्ठियाँ लिखी कि देखो हमारे यहाँ सेफ्टी वीक बनने में और सेफ्टी परमानेंट होते हुए भी हमारे यहाँ इतना एक्सीडेंट हो रहा है.
The next warning sign couldn't have spelled out Bhopal's problems more clearly to Union Carbide executives in India and America. In May 1982, a team of Union Carbide safety experts from America warned of a possible leak of toxic gas. They'd been sent to India to do a safety survey following the recent accidents. Their confidential report warned a leak could occur due to
equipment failure, operating problems, or maintenance problems.
All three factors had a direct bearing on last December's tragedy. Union Carbide America say their recommendations were followed up. Plant workers say that in some cases nothing was done. So far, the warning signs had attracted little public attention. But this man, Raj Kumar Keswani, now alerted the people of Bhopal to the dangers. He ran a local paper and became so concerned about what his contacts in Union Carbide were telling him that he wrote the first of a series of prophetic articles.
My first article appeared on 17th September 1982, and it said, please save this city. And the content of it was that while the people of this city are talking about the beauty of Bhopal, they are not aware that a thing like Union Carbide is existing here in this city, which is posing a threat to the lives of the Bhopal people.
2 weeks later, Keswani published another warning.
Bhopal, you are sitting on the mouth of a volcano. Bhopal will turn into a graveyard within 1.5 hours.
Just 4 days later, another major leak of deadly gas occurred during routine maintenance. This incident was an uncanny dress rehearsal for the tragedy of last December, because for the first time, gas leaked into nearby homes.
In that leakage, many workers were injured, and though it was stopped well in time, but even then, it created a big problem for the people living in the nearby colonies. They all have to run away to save their lives during that night, and they could return to their homes only after 8 hours. So it was a sort of warning from the plant itself that what they can do, what the plant can do with the people.
When the poisonous gas drifted through people's houses, there was panic and confusion. Some 2 years later in this area, whole families were to be wiped out. The accident alarmed workers inside the plant. They started to refer to the MIC gas as the lions that could gobble up the people of Bhopal. They began to give wider publicity to their fears.
और कम से कम 1500-1700 पोस्टर छपाए थे, पूरे भोपाल की दीवारों पे चिपकाए, यूनियन कार्बाइड की दीवारों पे चिपकाए एवं यूनियन कार्बाइड मैनेजरों के घरों की दीवारों पे चिपकाए.
उस पोस्टर में क्या कहा गया था?
उस पोस्टर में ये कहा गया था कि सावधान 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 सावधान, हजारों नागरिकों की जान खतरे में है.
Workers at the plant became frustrated at the lack of action.
उसका हमने बहुत से पम्पलेट्स वगैरह पूरे भोपाल में छापे थे और बताया था, पब्लिक को भी बताया था कि पब्लिक किसके आगे विरोध में आए, लेकिन उस समय शासन ने भी कोई मतलब ध्यान नहीं दिया और न मैनेजमेंट ने कोई ध्यान नहीं दिया. उसका कारण ये रहा कि हमारा जो मैनेजमेंट है वो शासन को भी गलत समझाता रहा और हम लोगों को भी गलत समझाता रहा, क्योंकि MIC के मामले में कि इंडिया में तो कोई उसको जानता नहीं उसका फार्मूला क्या है, वो यहाँ का प्रोडक्ट भी नहीं है, वो अमेरिका से प्रोडक्ट यहाँ पे आया है। तो कोई लोग भी MIC के बारे में क्या नहीं जानते थे, और उसको लिए हमारे जो लोकल मैनेजमेंट है उसने यहाँ का जो गवर्नमेंट के अधिकारी हैं और एम्प्लॉइज हैं और जो यहाँ की जनता है उनको उन्होंने किया कि इसमें कोई खतरा नहीं, कुछ नहीं हो सकता, जबकि हम उनको बार बार कहते थे कि इससे खतरा है। हमने शासन से भी कहा है कि इसको भोपाल की जनता को, यहाँ के एम्प्लॉइज को हमेशा खतरा बना हुआ है, कभी भी कुछ भी हो सकता है, मगर हमारे जो अधिकारी, मैनेजमेंट के अधिकारी हैं, वो लोग यही बोलते हैं इससे कुछ नहीं होगा, कभी भी कुछ नहीं होने की संभावना नहीं है, हम पूरी सेफ्टी यूज करते हैं, जबकि हमने बताया।
The plant workers had sent letters to top politicians, judges, even to Mrs. Gandhi, the then Prime Minister, warning of the dangers at Union Carbide. But nothing was done. Neither the state government nor the government of India ever acted on the warnings. They could have shut down the plant or forced it to move to a less dangerous location outside the city. But Union Carbide were left alone. Until the tragedy, they kept the loyal backing of most politicians and officials. By 1983, Union Carbide became preoccupied with a growing financial crisis at Bhopal. Sales of the Sevin pesticide collapsed and the plant started to lose a lot of money. Carbide's response was a fierce campaign of cost-cutting. This was to have a direct effect on safety and become another nail in Bhopal's coffin.
We started reusing bits and pieces of equipment which were better thrown away. For instance, gaskets and bits and pieces of pipelines. We welded them together and used them. So overall, you know, when something costs maybe 10,000 rupees for a meter of pipe and you have a small hole in it, you don't throw it away. You patch up the hole and use it again, which is really not recommended.
As the plant lurched further into the red, Union Carbide in America considered a more drastic remedy: to stop MIC production at Bhopal, dismantle the plant, and ship it to another Union Carbide company in Indonesia. In Bhopal, Union Carbide started laying off workers.
We lost people, we lost good people, we didn't replace them. We ran with short crew, short mannings.
Were inexperienced people being brought in?
Yes, you know, in industry the news gets around that a plant is not healthy. So nobody who's worth anything would like to come and join that plant. So you have to select from what is available to you from your local pool.
In your opinion, were people operating the MIC plant without the proper knowledge and experience?
It might get me into trouble, but yes, I feel that there were a few people, obviously I won't name names, I feel there were a few people who were not really fit to work in that unit.
How much would Union Carbide America be aware of that taking place at Bhopal?
They might not be aware of the specific cases, but they were certainly aware that we were losing trained and skilled people.
Do you think cost-cutting became the most important thing?
It was certainly one of the most important things. May not have been the most important. The most important was making money, I feel, you know, but...
But what about safety?
Safety took second place. I was responsible for safety for almost 1.5 years in Carbide. And I was one of the 2 people who were responsible for the complete safety of the plant. And there were several occasions when I really didn't feel comfortable with the decisions higher management took on our recommendations.
It was a slogan of Union Carbide 1 year before the accident: production at a cost, safety at any cost. What do you think of it?
I'm grinning. I really don't believe after this disaster that people followed what they've been preaching. They haven't practiced what they preached.
Here at Union Carbide's MIC plant at Institute in America came the final warning. This was where the Bhopal plant had been designed and engineered. 5 months before the disaster, Union Carbide scientists took over the American MIC plant with a fine tooth comb. Their confidential report pinpointed one particularly grave danger. Water might contaminate the MIC kept at Institute and start a runaway reaction in the unit's storage tanks. This was the very thing that was to happen in the Indian plant on the night of the disaster last December. At the profitable American plant, remedial work was put in hand. Here at Bhopal, the countdown to catastrophe continued. On the 22nd of October 1984, the plant made MIC for the last time. 22,000 gallons were held in these storage tanks. On the 2nd of December, night shift operators noticed that something was going wrong. For reasons as yet unknown, water had got into tank number 610. Soon the sort of catastrophic runaway reaction predicted by the Americans was underway. Pressure and heat built up, buckling the tanks and cracking the concrete bedding above the ground. The city's fate was sealed. The deadly MIC came pouring out into the atmosphere. The lions that would gobble up Bhopal were on the loose. Throughout the night, as more and more people arrived dead or dying at the hospital, there was confusion. Union Carbide's local management told doctors that the leaking gas would not kill people and could only irritate their eyes.
They told our doctor on telephone that the only treatment is that they must wash their eyes with water and drink plenty of water and everything will be all right in the course of time. But in the course of time, we found that this is not that simple, because when dead bodies started coming in huge number, and by 8:39 or 10, we had large number of dead bodies piled up in the hospital all around, then we realized that it is a very toxic gas. It was subsequently that they told it is MIC.
That night, Sajida Banu Khan got off a train at Bhopal station. She'd lost her husband in a Union Carbide gas leak 3 years earlier. Now fate was to deal her a second blow. Sajida Banu Khan got off a train at Bhopal station. She'd lost her husband in a Union Carbide gas leak 3 years earlier. Now fate was to deal her a second blow.
रुकते ही स्टेशन पे ट्रेन से ही मुझे गैस मालूम होने लगी। मैंने ऐसा फील किया कि किसी ने आंसू गैस छोड़ी है या कोई बम वगैरह छोड़ा है। मैं वहाँ पर उतरी खांसी से और आंसुओं से हमारा और दोनों बच्चों का बहुत बुरा हाल था। मैं मेरे दोनों बच्चे मेरे साथ थे। मैं इसी घबराहट में पागलों की तरीके से इधर उधर घूमती रही। फिर मैं स्टेशन पर पहुंची। स्टेशन पे वेटिंग रूम में पहुंचकर मैं वहाँ मुझे चक्कर आ गया, मैं गिर पड़ी।
In the confusion, she was separated from her children and carried to her brother's house. He went immediately to search for her sons.
मैं फौरन वहाँ से भागकर स्टेशन गया। तो स्टेशन पे जाके मैंने तलाश करा वेटिंग रूम के अंदर बच्चे बहुत ख़राब कंडीशंस में एकदम लेट्रिन वगैरह में भरे हुए थे और तमाम लोगों ने उल्टियाँ की हुई थी, उसके अंदर भरे हुए थे। तो मैंने उनको वैसे के वैसे उठाया। स्टेशन पे पानी वगैरह कुछ नहीं था। बाहर लेकर आया तो पानी नहीं मिला, तो मैं उनको बाहर लेकर आया। एक तांगे वाला खड़ा था, उससे मैंने कहा कि भाई हमको छोड़ दो बरखेड़ी तक। तो तांगे वाले के घोड़े को इतना गैस लग गया था कि वो चलने के लायक नहीं था। तो मैंने उससे हाथ जोड़े। मैंने कहा तुम किसी भी तरह से बच्चों की जान बचाना है, तुम इनको लेके चलो मेरे साथ। मैं तुम्हारा घोड़ा मर जाएगा तो पैसे दे दूंगा। तो वो इस बात पे राज़ी हो गया। तो बड़ी मुश्किल से 1 घंटे में हम लोग स्टेशन से बरखेड़ी आए। 7:15 बजे के करीब हम लोग बरखेड़ी आए। इन बच्चों को सब कपड़े वपड़े उतारे, हमने नहलाया, पानी वगैरह पिलाया। थोड़ी देर के बाद इनको दूध वगैरह गर्म करके पिलाया। बड़े वाले की बहुत ख़राब हालत थी, ये होश में था। ये
बच्चे के साथ
बस बच्चे के साथ खांसी चलती रही और इसी उसमें घबराहट में मुझे पता नहीं, लोगों ने बताया कि बस वो बेचैनी की हालत में मम्मी पापा करता रहा। यही करते करते वो हॉस्पिटल लेके गए मेरे भाई, वहाँ उसने दम तोड़ दिया।
Sajida Banu Khan's oldest son was 5 when he died on the night of the tragedy. The death of her husband at Union Carbide 3 years earlier was the first in the sequence of warnings of the disaster to come. If these warnings had been acted upon, tragedy could have been avoided. But the real causes of the disaster are more deeply rooted.